Yes. Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. Just trying to do an audio check.
The screen should be. Yeah, it's just slowly catching.
Okay. Yeah, can somebody? Yeah, I can see some people online. Can you please let me know in the chat if you can hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you. So I think we'll give a few more minutes for people to join in, and then we'll kick off.
Do you want me to hit record at any point? It's auto. Oh, thank you. I had my eye on the beginning right from the start.
Nice. I can see people coming online.
Okay, thank you. Phone was in there.
Oh, so your first few slides about product 10,
Oh yes, I'm going to talk about.
or you're just going to talk?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have slides.
No, just going to talk about.
You're right.
Mhm. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Shall we? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to another Product Tank Toranga event. It's a lovely day here in Toranga, and this community is more about like-minded people, not only product for Product Tank Toranga, but we are inviting everyone who's in the IT community and product teams could be business analysts, could be testers, could be engineers, anyone who delivers a product and is responsible and can come in, join our community, and use this opportunity to learn and grow. Uh, we have now got a page on LinkedIn, so if you want any updates for Product and Toranga, please do visit our LinkedIn page. We are also at meetups. We send out communication which actually lands onto your email addresses, so please check your inbox. We are also at Slack. We've got a channel. There's a link at the meetup page. You can join our Slack channel, Region Toranga. And now we are doing in-person events every month, so you can find us every month with a new topic with a new speaker. This time we've got a very beautiful speaker coming specially for an event from Christchurch. Tasneem needs no introduction. She is a product veteran, has worked through different companies, helping people build amazing products, and she also has her own coaching, I think, institute where people like me go there and learn a lot of cool tricks about the trade. We also have today a very special guest, Bruce McCarthy, and he couldn't join because of the time difference. He's traveling, but then he's been very kind. And Bruce has sent a small little clip which will give us a small insight of what's coming in his new book. So over to you, Steve.
Thank you. Welcome to People in Communication or Stakeholder Management, as we used to call it in the 30-year BA days.
Switch the slide.
Just a little bit about me. Thank you for the introduction. I wanted to share a little bit more about me with people. I have I've been in product management for a long time, over 15 years, and I've worked with a number of businesses over that time, and then now with my own business, I have a number of really interesting clients. So I'm really lucky to be in Tauranga today, thanks to Norview, who are having offsites and workshops today, and they are also a really big supporter of the tech ecosystem in Tauranga. One of my other passions is, it's all product management, let's face it. But one of the other things that I really care about is having people come into product, learn, because it's so big, it's so hard, there's so many difficult things about doing product. And so these are some of the ways we do it. I'm part of Product Aotearoa, which is a national organization that is committed to advancing the discipline of product management and helping empower product people to do better at their careers. Once a year, we have an annual meetup and we have a conference. This year is the second conference and we are having it in 4 weeks at Wellington. If you haven't got your tickets already, do that. There's local meetups, almost guaranteed wherever you are. So there's some version of product meetup where you are. And then Canterbury Tech. So I'm from Christchurch, and Canterbury Tech is our local organization that helps support product people. So that's a little bit about me. And just a reminder, Product Aotearoa Conference, 14th and 15th of November in Wellington. Buy your tickets if you haven't already. Okay, on the slides. So as product people, but as leaders in general, as people who sit at the intersection of business and development, one of our most important jobs is communication. Think of it as translation between what the market is telling us, what our customers and users are telling us, what the business wants, and then translating it into a language that developers can build. And then taking that information, the thing that they build, and translating it into language that marketers and salespeople can use to sell this product that we sell to the market. So doing communication well and getting communication right is really, really important. One of the key skills that can make or break a product manager. No matter what we do, whether we are thinking about strategy, whether we are in the development and design process, up and down the operating model, one of the most important things you can do for your own career development is develop these skills for you. So, who has seen this slide before? It's
This is
relatively
there we go.
popular now. This is originally from Product Board, and it's called The Dangerous Animals of Product Management. And I'm sure we've all encountered some version of this. The most highest paid person comes in and goes, "Well, I had a really good thought in the shower today, or I talked to a customer and they gave me this great idea, and I'm going to drop everything else and start working on it." Or there's a new fire, let's go and fix that and drop everything else. Or, yeah, I'm going to agree with everything you say, but I'm going to go away and do whatever I want, and ignore all your emails. Or unfortunately, this sometimes, which is, I don't have any evidence, but you should listen to what I say. Because yeah. These types of patterns can often be more common in sales-driven organizations or relatively immature organizations where strategy isn't the driving force. It's very opinion-based. So the idea is that you're going to encounter these people whether you like it or not. You need to think carefully about how you are going to manage the situation when one of these people comes up to you. So why do we communicate? As product people, we work on really complicated problems, often multi-layered with different types of things to think about. Not everyone can understand everything that's going on at the same time. But we are the people sitting at the intersection of all of this stuff. So it is our job to make sense of it all. We have multiple perspectives inside the org, but we have also different people moving in interconnected parts. We are the people in the middle of it all. And of course, we have multiple stakeholders, internal, external, all the way from users and customers to government agencies, partners, distributors, as well as all of the different people, our team, people that report to us, our peers, execs, C-level, the board, no matter what level you are at, you will have multiple stakeholders. So, what are we going to do about those people? Can you guess what we're going to do? Who is this man?
Oh.
He's a stakeholder!
Oh, that was good. That was good. Okay.
So we have a lot of stakeholders and we need to think about who should we talk to and why. Because we don't actually want to spend time talking to everyone, not hundreds of people. We have loads and loads of people inside the organization and outside the organization. And we define stakeholders as people who have some interest in our work, some influence in our work, or either have impact on our work or are impacted by our work directly. So this is what most organizations look like. But then there is the behind the scenes version of an organization. I actually stole this from Bruce McCarthy's from last year. And he stole it from Mark Walsh from integration training. So there we go. It's all very small, it's a little circle. So there is always people who are jealous of each other, or they have a secret deal, or they hate, or they play football together, or they're having an affair. All sorts of things, or they play golf together. So it's really important to think about the dynamics behind the organizational structure. What are people like? How do people like to be communicated with? What are their personalities? What do they care about? So when we think about stakeholder engagement, this is like a 4-step process that you should and could do at the start of every release, every project, every new thing that you're about to do. You need to think and say, all right, who is going to support me in this? Who could get in the way? How can I make sure that I'm involving the right people at the right time? So to start with, you need to know who you're talking to. You make a list of all of the people that you're talking to. You figure out who they are and why you care about them and what they might care about your work. And then you do the mapping, you prioritize and plan, and then you communicate. You need a plan, you communicate regularly, and real bonuses, you consider their personality types. Some people want the full download of the Excel spreadsheet of what's going on, and some people are like, just tell me yes or no, red flag or green flag, and then get out of my life. Like, I don't want to see your face again till the next month. Okay. So we need to think about what people care about, and then tailor our message accordingly. Stakeholder mapping is the easiest way to get buy-in from all of our stakeholders. So at the start of any project, go ahead and do a stakeholder map. So let's do that together. Now, so what I'm going to get you to do, there are some stickies in the room. Think about who your stakeholders are. And you only have to write a couple of people in different categories. But think about people who have a lot of interest in your product, and maybe people who you want to have interest in your product but they don't. Think about people who can put potentially have high interest in your product and influence your product. Sometimes in positive ways, sometimes in negative ways. So these might be people who can approve a budget or sign off on a new project or introduce you to the right person or sponsor a thing that you're trying to get done. But it can equally be negative interest. So, for example, government agencies have strong influence on our work if we are in the right. So, if you're in banking, financial services, anything that has to do with regulatory and compliance, one change in policy can shut down your whole entire operation. So it's really important to consider these types of things in leadership. Then you might have partners, distributors, all sorts of other people in and out of the org who might be able to. You certainly do not want people like the CEO walking in and saying, "What are you working on?" and not having a good answer for them. Because that could either be a very good thing, like, if the CEO walks in and showing interest, either very good or very bad. So how you manage for these things. And then finally, the impact of people, either of your work to them or them to you. So customers often fall into that. Customers are heavily impacted by it. So if you've written down a few names now, or a few people now, you can think about which quadrant they might go in. So here we are mapping our stakeholders on two key axes. Interest, how interested they are in our product, and influence. These people have low interest and low influence. Often they are experts or advisors. So as an external coach, I can come in, I might have some interest in your product, I might have some influence, but I'm not going to not sleep at night if you're not doing the right thing. Equally, people that fall into this category are the HR department, who are not that bothered about you, but bothered about your team. If things are dysfunctional in your team, they'll come and talk to you. But they're like on the periphery. So they'll support your work, maybe they'll support the people you work with, but okay, you just need to know that they exist. On the entirely other end are people with extremely high interest and high influence. Usually these are people you are talking to either day to day or week to week, people who are actively working with you and contributing to your project in both ways. You need them and they need you. Then there are the people who have a very high influence but not that high of an interest. And I think but this is where government agencies, CEOs, your boss, all of these people sit in this quadrant. They can approve stuff, they can block your progress. So you need to choose how you're going to make sure that you achieve the result you want. You can use their influence in the way that makes sense for you. And then your users, maybe your support people, maybe your sales people. There's a bunch of people who are impacted by your work. If you build a great product, they're happy. If you build a terrible product, maybe their own work will suffer in some way. So these people have a high amount of interest in what you do, but low influence. So map the stickies you have against each of those. You should have some people in each of those. Ideally in these quadrants, obviously. So a couple of people who have strong influence, some people who you collaborate with regularly, who are interested in your work and you're interested in their work, and there's some sort of mutual benefit thing going on here. Think about the people who are directly impacted, and then other people who may or may not care. And now what are you going to do with these people? So now you know who they are, we have to think about what our strategy will be for the communication plan. There's some kind of people, like we talked about, that are, they have a million different things on their plate. They just need to know that things are going in the right direction. But as soon as they're not going in the right direction, slam. Right? So what we don't want is that hammer coming down on us going, wait, what's happening? Stop everything. You want to keep them satisfied. And for the people on the other end of the axis, people who care about your work, don't really have a lot of direct info. You just want to keep them informed. Hey, things, and both ends of this, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're keeping them in the loop, but in slightly different ways. For these people, you're giving them the right amount of information they need to keep them satisfied. But to these people, you inform them as much as you want to without making it too hard. So, for example, you tell them what your release date tracking is going to be. You don't actually tell them necessarily, right? No, that's a different way to think about it. Now, this is the other part of communication. The biggest problem is that we think, but I told you this was happening. I've told you 20 times, but you didn't hear me. I don't know what your spouses are like, but I can stand in front of my husband and tell him this whole thing, and then 5 minutes later he walks back into the room and he goes, "Oh, I just had a thought," and then he tells me back the exact same thing. Thank you. Maybe it's got through, but he forgot that actually it was me that started to do this. So, what you really want is to think about how people like to receive communication so that you're confident that it's not you sending the transmission, but they'll actually receive the transmission at the other end of it. And so, how would we do that? This comes back to something we mentioned before, which is personality types. Different types of people like different ways of receiving information, and often they will communicate the same way. So that will be your signal on, if this person gives you short, sharp pieces of information, you can understand that they like to receive those types of communications as well. So these are really broad 4 categories you can think of. Usually there's a shaper, driver type of personality. We're going in this direction, this is where we're going, boom, boom, boom. Just give me the highlights, let's make it work. All that sort of thing. Sometimes it can be the person you just come to when you have a problem or a roadblock. They'll get rid of it for you if you approach it the right way. Then you have the guardian, the specialist type of person. This is the person that wants the full project plan, the download, they are detail oriented. They're very happy that you're reporting that the project is at a green status, but they actually want to see the evidence, they want to make sure that things are right, because they're the kind of person that needs to have that information before they get behind it. And it's really important to keep this type of person happy, because if they don't, these are usually well-trusted people in the organization. People trust them because they know that they care about the details. So if they're not happy with you, other people will sense that, and then you're going to start losing other people's support as well. And then there are other personality types that don't really necessarily care about the content or the direction of stuff. They care about other things. Some people want to be included. They want to know that we're doing the right thing, that we are taking people along on the journey, that we consider change management. So they want to hear different things from you. And then finally, there's a pioneer, innovator type of personality who's like, they are most interested in what's new, what's exciting, what's innovative. They don't really care that much often about project plans or how we're going to do it. They often care about the next shiny new thing. So that's a really broad brush, but think about those types of things, lenses, when you communicate with people. Because this is it, right? We are always communicating. We've got all of these user stories and canvases and Jira ideas and problem statements and visions and workshops, so many ways that we communicate. But if you want to do an effective job, we need a plan. So for all 4 of these types of people, you have to consider this. What is my goal? What am I trying to do? Well, actively collaborate, and keep satisfied, and inform, and just monitor. Who is my audience? So you've written some of that down. You know the names. You know their needs. You thought about their personalities, the communication type. Now you will think about the message that you're going to send them. What structure, what format will be in it. For the people who need detail, the message will be slightly different than the person who just wants the short, sharp highlights general direction, for example. Then you consider what channel is best. So when you have a team that you're actively collaborating with, it's ideal to do as close to face as possible. And face-to-face can actually mean one-on-one informal, online, in Slack messages, WhatsApp groups, whatever it is that creates that one-to-one personalized interaction that helps people share and communicate closely. On the other hand, you want some sort of formal communication options for stakeholders, because if you get someone in authority coming and saying, I asked you for this thing, you need to be able to point to something and say, this is something I have sent you before, I intend to send it to you every week, and this is how you keep them satisfied. You want to be ahead of the game on this one. This one, you can use information from here and just keep it lightweight. Like I said, you don't want to over communicate here. You just want to keep them in the loop and maybe give them channels for feedback if they need to. Which is also included in here. And then you think about how often you want to do it. Some people you're going to talk to daily, some people you want to communicate more semi-regularly with. There are other people who can just consume the adjacent information if you don't worry about it too much. But you do have to think about, is it a daily, weekly, monthly, more often, every sprint demo? What is the frequency of your communication to the people in your project? And then finally, how do you think you are going to hear back the feedback? You're going to actively solicit feedback from some groups? Are you going to create those channels for feedbacks? Do you always want feedback on everything? Because that's not always useful either. You don't want to send them something and leave the door open feedback that might potentially lead anything. So you have to be careful about building in some feedback mechanisms, but balancing out. It's nice to get information, but you have to think about the dangers of receiving too much good feedback as well. So what you need is a communication plan. Right? All of that stuff that I have said, most people will usually have. Do you guys have one at City Council? A comms plan for you?
Yeah, I have a comms plan, but like the previous slide you showed, we have reached until there, but not the one I see now. Yeah, so we have got that influence and interest in my area. The only takeaway is that how often do I visit back, because it keeps shifting, I believe, for us based on which
Part of your comms plan is
it
rather
keeps,
than the stakeholder mapping.
yeah, like keep
exercise.
shifting. Yeah. So
And what about you, Monica?
We have quite an informal counterpart, so it's not documented, but yeah, we do have a comms plan which we do market releases and stuff.
I think in large complex organizations, you will generally see some formal or semi-formal policy, but I urge you as individuals working in groups to think about creating a comms plan, like actually purposefully sitting down. You are presumably here at this talk because you care about this topic, because you're feeling some sort of tension in that stakeholder management and people and communication category. So this is your take-home activity, your homework. Build a comms plan, figure it out, and start operating on it. I don't know if everyone can read this, but a lot of these are a comms plan for external. So this is a regular newsletter which goes to all customers and channels. There's a partner forum, there's an NPS survey, there's a customer advisory board, there's a user group and roadshows, there's an online community forum. They're external. You can equally have internal progress reports, daily stand-up feedback loops or sprint demos. You know your organization best. So think about who are the people, what are their needs, and how will you satisfy those needs. So just a quick couple of takeaways to wrap up, really. When you are communicating, actually just with everything, right? You don't start building a product without a plan, you start building things without a plan. So when you're thinking about these things, have a plan, start with value. What is the value of this communication to yourself, to your team, and to your stakeholders? over communicate. Now, this is important because it goes back to that, but I told you this already, and people don't hear, and they're busy, and they lose the message. There is some research that shows that people have to hear something at least 10 times internally before they start getting it. And with things like advertising and marketing, they have to see something like 80 times, some crazy number like that before they go, oh yeah, I recognize that brand. So you cannot over communicate. And I think if you over communicate, people will tell you, yeah, heard you, fine, thank you. But you do not want to be in the position where something really important was needed to be received and it did not get received. It's not just a one-way communication, you've got to listen as well. So when your way to figure out if you're over communicating is to hear the feedback and say, did people get it? Are the right talking points getting through? Is the message getting through? We need to think about that. Another tip when you are communicating, and this is just me being super hot on metrics as a thing, is that when you share data, you change the intensity of that message and the value of that message. If I said to you, building this new feature will help us get new customers, you'll be like, if I said, building this new feature that has been asked for every loss that we've had, every sale that we've lost over the last year, and it will effectively help us double our sales. Okay? And then if you say that double sales mean that we will go from, 1 million ARR to 2.5 million ARR in a year and a half's time or a year's time. That's number as well. So putting numbers against facts, putting figures against facts, actually helps drive those messages home like nothing else can. And then finally, something we've talked about already, which is adapt your communication strategy for each type of stakeholder and each personality. If you're really lucky, they will align with the quadrant. So all your overachiever influencer types will be like drivers. And ultimately, this is my final takeaway for anything to do with communication, which is that it's in your hands. You do not need to search for consensus. You can shape your future. You can drive consensus yourself. So be active and go out there and get it. So what I will ask you now is just take a moment to write down a couple of things that you've just spent 30, 40 minutes of your life listening to me talk about something. What are you going to do? How are you going to say that this time was worth it? What did you like about something? What will it make you think that you would use? What maybe tool, technique, idea could you use? And then ask yourself, is there something I need to learn more about? Do I need to learn more about communication types? Do I need to learn more about who my stakeholders are that I didn't consider? Do I need to think about people outside the organization or inside the organization? Do I need to actually go and learn the communication styles that different people who are important to my project like to receive communication? Do I want to learn if the messages that I have been sending out so far have been received most of them? So, take a minute. All right. Thank you all for coming. If you have any questions, obviously we can do Q&A in the room, but if you have questions, you can put them in the chat.
Just let the online people know that they can post the questions on chat. If you can say that on the mic.
Feel free to pop questions in the chat.
Yeah, I just realized that with us we have got a lot of things. It's just pulling the dots together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know the personalities. We do the influence and the interest grid. We have a comms plan. Yeah, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to bring everything into one
Just do a
space.
quick reval.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is true in most cases. You, in some shape or form, already know who your stakeholders are, what they like to hear about, how they like to receive information. What you need to do is take all this information that's floating around in blobs in your head and actually just put it on a page and put in some reminders in your calendar, and that's as good as it will ever get. And then, I don't know, install some AI chatbot that will help you. Like, just craft a message in 10 seconds.
Okay.
I was thinking about the frequency of connecting with the stakeholders could also be dependent on the influence versus interest matrix.
That's right. Yeah, I totally agree. So, you don't want to tell customers daily updates of,
Yeah.
hey, we're still building your product. Hey, we're still building, because it's like, weeks or months away. But if you have a large project and a project sponsor that needs regular, and we have daily stand-ups with our teams, like that's really important. You could potentially be having like twice daily stand-ups with your team, more. So you're absolutely right. The frequency of your interactions needs to be mindful of how often people need or want to receive that communication. Tara agrees with you.
Yeah.
Okay. We um, can we show Bruce's video now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, thank you if you've stuck around this far. And what we're going to do now is we are really lucky to have a supporter of product in New Zealand, Bruce McCarthy, who has spoken here before, including last year at our inaugural product tank. He has a book out on stakeholders and communication, and he has recorded a little video to share with everyone here.
Okay. So let me see. And I think I don't know if the video is on. If you're gonna hear the audio or the live stream is gonna hear the audio.
Kia ora, Product Tank Tauranga. What's the worst thing that can happen to you as a product manager? For most product people, our recurring nightmare isn't showing up at work naked. It's the fear that your product, after you spend months or years creating it, could fail spectacularly because maybe nobody wants it, because you don't have product market fit.
Yeah, can I ask?
But actually, it's just as likely, maybe even more so, that your product could fail because of poor stakeholder management. I lived that nightmare. My very first software product as a product manager, I did the research, I understood the customer, I understood the customer's challenge, I had a solution for the problem, and I had a customer. I was on my way, right? The problem was my company was uninterested in selling it. I talked to sales, I talked to marketing. Their dockets were completely filled with selling our core product, and they were totally uninterested in selling my new thing. It didn't help them meet their goals, they told me. So maybe I had product market fit, but I definitely did not have what I would call product organization fit. That's what this book is about. Melissa and I wrote Aligned to share with you what we've learned about how to get alignment throughout your organization on your plan, your strategy, your product, your roadmap, whatever you're responsible for that requires not just your efforts, not just a brilliant idea or product market fit, but also the coordinated effort of people all around your company. And when you think about it, what product does not require that? Aligning your stakeholders is fundamental to the success of your product and to your success as a product manager. Beyond that insight, I'll take a moment to give you one tip from Aligned that I hope will be useful. Set aside the org chart. That diagram with the CEO at the top and all the boxes and lines below does not reflect the influence people have that can affect the resources you get, the support you get outside of your squad, and whether or not you are likely to achieve product organization fit. So first, figure out if your company is sales-led, marketing-led, finance-led, or whatever, and make sure you speak to the needs of that dominant function. I once discovered that nothing the CEO and I agreed on would get funded unless our CFO gave it the green light. Also, map out the folks who may not figure prominently in the org chart, but often there's somebody who nobody reports to with a vague title like biz dev or corp dev or partnerships or strategy that nobody knows what they do, but the CEO has coffee with them nearly every day. Identify these hidden power players who can informally influence decisions, and you'll be on your way. I've got a slide deck of 7 pro tips like this one for dealing with stakeholders that extracts some of the most essential points from the book. And if you check out this QR code, you can download those slides. You'll also find a better map of the organization we call the Stakeholder Canvas that you can use to keep track of your stakeholders, what you know about them, and how to deal with them. You can download that and other bonus content from the book in Miro, Google Sheets, and Excel formats. I hope you have a useful conversation about stakeholder management, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Now that's a professional.
Okay. Thank you, Tasneem. Thank you, Bruce, if you're listening. And yes, as a product manager myself, I happen to get into a stakeholder conversation, be it internally, be it externally. They come in different shapes and sizes all through my day. And yes, having a good communication strategy really hit me. Yeah, I kind of realized I have all what is required is just connecting the dots. So thank you for that insight and a quick check. And thank you for all the users and product and community people who joined online and all the naughty ones who did not. Okay, so just want to announce that we have got our next product tank already set up. And this time we have got a very special use case, very product driven use case, real life use case, which one of our community member will come and share. And it's always good to know a real life use case, and then we can always talk about it and learn. So thank you everyone for coming in. And next time, hopefully, we try and connect with more communities in Tauranga and make this community a big success. I don't know when.
Thank you for organizing.
Thank you, Tasneem. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
You want to reply to your friend?
Okay, why not? Would you like to take the question?
Tasneem? Sure. So we just have some questions and comments about
Yes.
the same situation on the live chat, and we just want to make sure you address that before we sign off.
Yeah, Duke.
I don't know if you can read the live chat. Obviously, you can in the room. But Duke Tone said, if he has an example, I always communicate to my stakeholders by weekly or monthly reports, and we always had a monthly meeting. Then an issue happened. The stakeholder was surprised and said he wasn't aware. Then I had to show him that I had showed him the risk and issue multiple times in our previous meetings and reports. He calmed down, but I felt that he wasn't satisfied. Did I not communicate enough, or was I not clear enough? I'd love to crowdsource people's opinions on this example, actually.
It's I found that people don't read emails. They especially when it's something which comes into their inbox on a regular basis and it's just a report. Halfway down they don't actually open it. They dismiss it, and it's only when there is a retrospectively going while you didn't communicate, you can actually show them that you did. they become defensive that it wasn't.
One of the strategies I have found really useful when I want to escalate, particularly in this example when you're talking about risk, is that you can obviously, as you have done, laid out the risks in your report. But as soon as you put a visual indicator against it, it becomes a highlight, right? So a red flag, a green button, a traffic light, all of these are options that you can use.
Even for, it's maybe not even in the report because then it would actually imply they actually have to open it. So when you're actually sending out the email, highlight the biggest news of the weekly report in the email itself. And I think that gets people's attention.
So like a summary of the report. Quick summary.
And again, you know, when we talk about communication style, we talk about personality, but another one of that is how people like to receive information. Is it visual? Is it audio? Is it written? Is it in tabular, you know, that form?
And how much.
That's yeah, and how much. So you need to cater to different types of audiences. No one said it was easy, but that's why they pay us the big bucks. At least they pay us the medium bucks, hopefully. So yes. I hope that you were able to get something from that experience. But because this is a very specific example, what I will say is it's worth talking to people afterwards and saying, what could I have done better? And that's the only real way to make progress, because right now we're all speculating, but only that stakeholder knows what his situation was.
And with time, you get to know your stakeholders, and you will know which ones you actually have to have a coffee conversation with, which ones you have to send an email, which ones you will have to actually have a meeting with. You will get to know your people all the time. But for someone who is new, or you coming in as a contractor and making creating a product for a business, it's definitely quite hard.
Monica, you bring up a really good point. That communication plan that we put up is a formal communication plan. But there's so much communication happens informally at the water cooler, when you're standing and making a coffee together, when you're going out for drinks after work or at lunch. And so there is absolutely some level of not just communicate, but relationship building that makes communication easier, especially for tough things. And so building those relationships in this informal situation will eventually make the job of formal communication easier. People are more likely to read what you've written if it goes, oh yeah, cool. Oh, and I did remember that he's mentioned that there were some challenges and he would email me about it. And the CEO was standing there listening as well. Right. Yeah. But yes, think about what you could do differently, and then maybe have a chat with your stakeholder and ask, what could I do next time, so that you are aware in advance. Do you want to be told this in some way directly outside, a written communication? Or is there something else you prefer? All right, with that, I will let you all go and enjoy your Tuesday afternoon. I hope you had some learnings and some interesting conversations today. I'll see you in the next event.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you, Tasneem. Thank you, everyone.